In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your Cricut to make a multi-layered Starbucks cup full wrap. We've got the free SVG file available for you to download on our blog if you would like to make this project too. Definitely go check that out. This is the third video in this little mini series that we've been doing featuring these Starbucks cold cups. So I will include links to the other two videos above and below. One of them shows you how to use the new offset feature to make a decal on the cup, and another one has the circular decal. So definitely go check those videos out as well. And I'm also continuing to use our vinyl bundle that we have available on our website. So these are the 3 colors I'm using. Everything that I'm using today is available to shop on our website. So go snag the free SVG file and get some Cricut materials, and let's get started making this project in Design Space. The first thing that you're going to do in terms of designing this project is to head to our blog and download the free SVG file there. The link will be in the description of this video, so click that link. It'll take you to our blog on our website, and then the link will be near the materials list. It'll say you can download the free SVG file here, click on the word here, and it'll download. Then save it somewhere on your computer, and then you'll come over to the upload button over here, and then you'll click upload image here and follow all the steps, save it as a cut file, and then when it's all saved and ready to go, it'll pop up over here. So you can click on that and click insert images. So that's the first step, just getting it uploaded. So this is what the final one is going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and just hide that for now. The next thing that we're going to do is to check the sizing of the file. It should automatically upload into these dimensions or really close to them. If not, just go ahead and write these dimensions down, and you can change them by coming up here to size, clicking that unlock button and typing them in manually. But it should come in for you. So the last thing that we need to do is to attach all of the layers together. Right now they're all in their own individual layers, as you can see, so we need to attach them together so the Cricut knows to cut them together. Otherwise, this is what happens. Do you see how they're all individually placed by the Cricut? So when we use the attach button, it's going to tell the Cricut exactly how to cut the layers. So using attach is super simple. I'm going to actually just start by ungrouping this. And then let's come over to the layers panel over here. So we're going to start with the yellow. So I'm going to click on the yellow, and then I'm holding the shift key down on my computer. And what I'm going to do is select all of the yellow colors over here in the layers panel. So there'll be quite a few, so make sure you scroll down and get them all. So I'm just going to finish this up. And then once you have them all selected, come to the bottom right hand corner and click on attach. So now the Cricut knows to cut them exactly as they are placed on our canvas here. Now there are 2 other ways we can do this, so let's hide the yellow. So the next thing I want to do is to attach all of these white pieces together. With the yellow pieces, we came over to the panel and held shift and selected them all. You can also do the same over here as well on your actual design. So if you select your piece, hold the shift down, we can keep selecting all these white pieces. And then same exact thing, we can click attach. So that's just 2 different ways you can do it. And then if we hide this layer, I want to attach all of this together, including this black circle. And so another way that you could do this is to click and drag and highlight everything and then click attach. So there's 3 different ways. Sometimes it's easier to do one or the other. And in this case, I thought it was easier to select all the yellow pieces over in the layers panel, hide them, click on all the white pieces here, and then highlight everything here. So there are 3 different ways you can attach. So I'm going to unhide these layers. And then as you'll notice, the yellow layer isn't showing, and it actually is on our canvas, but it's behind the white layer. So what we want to do is come over to our layers panel, select where it says attach, and it will highlight all of the yellow pieces. Come up to arrange and say send to front. And now you can see it. So you can go ahead and click and highlight and group them all, so that way we can move it around together. So if I unhide my original design here, the only other thing that I did was change the white in the flowers to be pink. And the reason I did this is because I was using the pink vinyl. I wanted to get a visual of what it would look like with the pink vinyl. So let me show you how to do that in case you're interested too. We'll come back over to the layers panel, and we're going to find our white layer that's attached together. And then again, click on this word attach so it highlights all of the white. And then you can change your color by coming up here, clicking on that, and then I just chose pink. So that is it. So you'll download the SVG file from our blog, upload it here to Design Space, make sure it's sized correctly, and then you'll have to attach all the layers together. So that is the gist of it. I am gonna go ahead and hide this guy. So then from here, make sure you have your correct machine selected, and then we'll click on Make It. And this is going to take us to the matte preview screen. Now, something I wanted to highlight quick. I'm wanting to cut the green vinyl last. And right now it's coming up as my third matte, which is perfect. And the reason I'm wanting to do this is because I am wanting to actually leave that vinyl on the mat so that I can weed it on the mat and then transfer my other colors of vinyl while it's still on the mat. It's just going to make it a little easier. If yours is not showing up as 3, when you click continue and select your cutting setting, you can actually tell your Cricut which mat you wanted to cut. So just make sure you cut the pink and the yellow first and then the green last. The first step to this project is going to be to cut our vinyl. So here's a look at the vinyl that I'm using today. It's Cricut's permanent vinyl. And like I said, it's a part of a bundle that we have available on our website. So definitely go check that out. So I'm going to get this applied on my cutting mat. I normally like to use a light grip or a standard grip cutting mat when I'm cutting vinyl. And if you have these tubes of vinyl, here's a little trick. I like to get mine out by twisting like this. Do you see how it's like coming around my thumb? Just keep twisting and twisting, and then it just slides right out. So I found that to be the easiest way to get my vinyl out. So I'm just going to trim this off, and then we'll get it applied onto our cutting mat. Now you can trim your vinyl down to size before you put it on your mat. It's totally optional. You can trim it down before or you can trim it down after. Sometimes I like to do it afterwards just to make sure that I have enough vinyl. Sometimes I accidentally cut it to the wrong size. So I'm just gonna stick this on. And then you can just leave the like rolled up at the end just like that. So that is applied well onto our mat. If you need to use a scraper tool to help push down, or you could use the sprayer tool as well, you can. But my standard grip mat is pretty new and it is super sticky. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this loaded in. And then we are going to get cutting. So I have premium vinyl chosen as my cutting setting. So we'll get this cut and then I'll do the other 2 colors as well. Okay, so this one finished cutting, and before we get on to the next color, I did want to show you how I like to remove this from the mat. So I like to flip the mat over and bend the mat back while I hold the vinyl straight. This will be especially helpful if your mat is super sticky like mine is. So I just want to show you that quick. So we'll just get this removed. And then we will get this cut down to size. So there's that, and we'll get the rest of our vinyl cut. Alright, we're all finished cutting. Now, this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm not going to remove it from the mat right away. So we're just going to kind of peel back the bottom portion and then cut off the vinyl that didn't get cut. And then we're going to weed with it on the mat. And so this is why I explained earlier why I wanted to cut the green vinyl last, because I'm going to weed it on the mat and then we're going to layer our other vinyl onto the mat as well. I think it's just a little bit easier in terms of it's completely flat on the mat. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the excess vinyl from my design. Just go nice and slow and make sure that everything stays down. As I get big chunks here, I like to trim away the excess vinyl. I find that I make less mistakes that way when I'm not having like this big clump in the way. So let's go ahead and get this finished. So there's what our green layer looks like. I'm realizing I should have trimmed this down so I could have saved this vinyl over here. But I'll just remember that for next time. So we're going to leave that on the mat and I'm going to go ahead and weed our other 2 pieces here. All right, we are finished weeding, and so the next step is going to be to transfer our layers onto the green layer. So I'm using transfer tape here, and I'm gonna just get this cut down to size. And then I'm gonna remove the transfer tape from the paper backing that it's on. Okay, so we'll get our transfer tape applied on top of the vinyl. And I kind of like to start at one end, kind of create this like U shape, and then slowly work my way down. We want to make sure that we're applying it evenly. So I've got it applied on one end, and now I'm just going to work my way down and go nice and slow. And then I'll grab a scraper tool here, and we're going to burnish, which just means to push down on the front. And then I'll pull this up and do the back side as well. And I'm going to trim this excess transfer tape off just to make it a little easier. And then you can slowly remove the paper backing from the vinyl. So I like to start in the top left-hand corner and work my way down on this angle and just go nice and slow. If you find that it still is sticking to this paper backing, just scrape again. And then we'll grab our mat, and now we're going to get this lined up. So now I'm finding that it kind of is going in the middle of the stem. At first I thought it would go like right on top, but we can actually go a little closer in. So we'll try and get our angle right here. I'm looking at my screen on my computer to try and help too. So we'll just lay this down. And if some of them are off a little, we can pull them up and adjust. Like some of these at the end are a little off here. But let's go ahead and push down with the scraper. And then we'll pull down. So as you can, if you can't see it, they're not sticking. I need to go over again. So push down really good, and then we will remove with our transfer tape. So some of them are having a bit of a harder time staying on, so I'm just going to help them out and push them down with my scraper tool and my fingers as well. And this will actually work out okay because I'm going to have to move some of them anyway. So just go nice and slow. Alright, I just finished. Let me give you a little close-up. So here's what it looks like so far. So as you can see, I'm going to move some of these up a little bit. But overall, I think I lined it up pretty good. So I'm just going to use my weeder tool and try to move some of these by hand. So I went ahead and applied my yellow vinyl on next. My camera cut off, so unfortunately I don't have that to show you, but I just followed the same steps that I did to add the melon to the green. So I'm just burnishing now, and here's what that looks like. So as you can see, I have a few that I probably will move over manually, but I think so far pretty good. And honestly, I kind of like that they're a little off. Okay, so now I'm just removing this transfer tape again, and let's just go nice and slow. Some of it, to be honest, is not sticking down entirely. So I'm just going flower by flower and making sure that it all stays put. And we'll go over again at the end with our scraper tool to make sure that everything is stuck down really well. We are so close to finishing this project. To be honest with you guys, I have been trying to figure out how to make these full wraps for a long time. I've tried many different things, and honestly layering these can be a little tricky and getting them on the cup. At least I thought so. So this is like, I don't even want to tell you how many attempts I've had, but quite a few. And so I am super excited about this one, and I think as far as like layering goes, it's a perfect one to get started with because it's not too many layers, and it's easy to move these pieces knowing that they're a little bit, if they're a little bit off. Okay, so there's that, and now I'm going to take my weeder tool, and again, I'm just going to, actually, I might use my scraper. Just use some tool to carefully get it up. You could use your fingernail as well. I'm just trying to go slow so I don't scratch the vinyl. And like I said, some of them I think I'm actually just going to leave, but I'm just going to finish this And then we are almost done. I just finished and I'm super excited, so I'm going to take my scraper and go nice and slow again and just push down. Just want everything to stick really well, because what we're going to do next is apply our transfer tape again back on top. And burnish really, really well. Because now we're going to get all 3 layers to stick onto the transfer tape at once. So we've got it on the front, and now let's flip it over, and now we will remove the whole combo from the cutting mat. So do you see how easy that made it? I really like using that. So now let's just trim this edge off. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and just trim around my design and get as close to it as possible. And the reason I'm doing this is because when we put it on our cup, it'll just be easier to line everything up, I think. You can do this however you want and play around with it, but I like to just cut right around it. Here is what we have so far. Are you still hanging in there? Because we are almost done. But let's go ahead and scrape from the back before we grab our cup and get applying this to the cup. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is kind of bend my transfer tape like this, and I'm actually going to cut it. And I know this seems kind of silly, but the reason I did this is because I wanted to be able to cut a template to be able to see where to line it up on our Starbucks cup. So I just bent it a little bit without like bending my other vinyl, just so I could get my scissors in. And then I'm just going to cut this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to be able to see the Starbucks logo to help us line it up. There are lots of different ways I found that people use to get it lined up. Use whatever works for you. I've just found that I kind of like doing it this way. So that way when we apply this on the cup, you can already see where to line it up. And this next part is definitely going to be the trickiest. So if you've never done this before, I would say wrap it around, kind of get a feel for how it's going to be. But then when you're ready, the first thing you're going to want to do is wipe down your cup either with some water or some acetone. Just make sure there's like no dust or anything on it. I'm just going to burnish one more time. And then we will go ahead and remove the paper backing. So now all of our vinyl should stay on the transfer tape. Go nice and slow. Again, if it's not staying on the transfer tape, then you can go ahead and use your scraper tool to help push it down again. That went perfectly. We will get this excess vinyl from our circle off at the end. Okay, so now what we want to do is grab some random objects in your house if you want, and we're going to kind of create a wedge. I'm actually just using my brayer tool, and I'm actually going to take this off. And I'm just going to lean my cup up against the brayer tool. Basically, I'm just trying to get something to like hold it in place. So you could use a water bottle. That would probably work just the same, just so that my cup isn't moving. And then we're going to take our combo. So here's what it looks like now. And then I'm going to make this U again. So it kind of looks like that. And I'm going to start by lining up the circle around the Starbucks logo. And then I'm going to go from left and slowly push down to right. And then keep applying it evenly. So left to right, and then slowly place it down. Don't just like throw it down. And then grab your scraper tool and burnish. Then when you feel like it's stuck pretty good, start in one corner and slowly peel back your transfer tape. And I like to pull at a 45-degree angle and just kind of rock back and forth. Everything is sticking really nicely. part of the middle came off with the transfer tape, which is totally fine. We're just going to take it off at the end anyway. Okay, so we're all done with that. Let's go ahead and get that other middle piece off right away. And then from here, before you go down and push your scraper one more time, you could go around and manually move any of these if you wanted to. So I just kind of lifted this guy up a little bit. Just go so carefully. And I'm just going to stick him up here and lay him down. You can play with the design if you want to, or you can just leave it be. You always kind of risk like kinking your vinyl a little bit if you move things, but I am just going to try. I think using your fingernail is maybe a safer bet, but you don't have to do this step. I just wanted to move a couple of these just up a little bit. And then when you're finished, just go one by one and push down really well with your scraper tool. This is just going to really help the vinyl to stick. Now this is permanent vinyl. It's recommended to hand wash only. So if you're giving these as gifts, you could include that. To be honest, I have run these through the dishwasher and they've been fine, but I will just say it's best to hand wash them. And another tip while I'm finishing this up here, I would let this cure for 2 to 3 days before getting the sticker, the vinyl wet. We just want the vinyl to really adhere to the cup well, and I think the 2 to 3 days is usually a good time frame. But other than that, we are all finished. So let me put the lid on and then I'll show you what this looks like. So there is our Starbucks cold cup full wrap tutorial. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, but don't forget to go download the free SVG file on our blog, pick up this vinyl bundle that's available on our website, or any other Cricut materials that you need. We have them available on our website as well. But I'm super excited with how this turned out. I think it's perfect for spring and summer. You also let me know if you try one out. If I could give one last piece of advice here, I would say just have patience, because it took me a couple tries to get right. I actually, when I was preparing or trying to learn how to do these at first, I used some scrap vinyl that I had, or vinyl that I didn't really, like I couldn't figure out what to use for. It was like a weird color, and I just practiced, and then I would take the vinyl off my cup and do it again. So you might want to consider trying that as well, but I'm super excited with how this turned out. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.